How are we doing, Kansas Jayhawks fans? This is your host, Nick Rondeau, bringing at you some Jayhawks Daily content. And due to the nature of, what's been going on, speaking of the 2026 additions in the early signing period, we kind of got to speak to that team a little bit. We can't forget about, those new guys that are going to be joining that squad, going to be future Jayhawks. And now we can consider them current Jayhawks. They're signed. Breaking a signature, that's a lot harder. So we'll call them our 2026 Jayhawks. Talk a little bit about them, and then we're obviously at the end. We're gonna bring up this current team. There's a lot of basketball going on. We've got basketball games. We've got another game coming up against Princeton, and we've got Duke next week. So we always got to keep these 2025 gentlemen on the mind as well. But 2026 Jayhawks, they're out there too. So as I said, signing period has opened. And what does that mean? So I'm assuming most of the people watching this channel probably do, but there are different periods of the recruiting process. And the early signing period is one where, you are getting most of those people who have verbally committed to your school. So Talon Kinney is verbally committed to our school, like anyone. We've had these individuals verbally committed to Kansas, which it's a much easier commitment to break, as we all know. Many people do it all the time. Now they have officially put pen to paper saying, I will be at Kansas for next year, and this is significantly harder to get out of. Signed, my name. Obviously not the second part, but that's what we're getting. That's what we're getting with. We've got a couple of, great additions. We've talked about them throughout the podcast over the course of, the past couple months, but these guys have finally put pen to paper saying we will be going to the Kansas Jayhawks for 2026, and it's awesome. It's a new addition, early signing period. It's trying to avoid, it's trying to kind of wrestle up and put in fine lines of how the recruiting process will go. And it is interesting because I did bring up early signing period as, kind of check-in points for number one recruit Tyron Stokes. So it's always interesting to keep the eyes peeled. You never know. But, that decision is going to be coming up. He said that he wanted to make it early on. Obviously, there's more news coming out about him, Tyron Stokes, being that he is withdrawn from Notre Dame High School and will be looking elsewhere to finish his senior year or play basketball somewhere. It's very interesting news, and if I knew he was coming to Kansas, I would be doing a whole segment just about Tyron Stokes. But we're gonna give a little bit of background to that, as he is the number one player, and we still are in the race to get him. He is withdrawn from his high school and will be looking elsewhere, like I said, and that puts a little bit of a cloud up. Is it thinking bubble? I don't know. Is it tinfoil hat? Is he coming to the KU Jayhawks? No clue, but we will find out soon what he will be doing, as this is the early signing period, and this is when people are putting pen to paper for what they stated. So speaking of that backcourt, we're going to look at the shorter guys. Talon Kinney has just been amazing. Been watching a lot of game tape from him, and I remember a couple weeks back playing a big game in the circuit or in high school, remind me. Unbelievable, just 32 seconds from this guy. He goes from a great dribble drive up and under, where he genuinely, I think, he got hit in the face. Didn't call the foul, that's fine. Up and under, finish right at the rim, so difficult, and then quick transition back after making the bucket and blocking the guy at the rim. Rising up, being the second help defender, and just ending, it was apparently a huge comeback as well in that game. Apparently they were down by more than 12 points or 15 points in the fourth, and, Talon Kinney leads them to another victory. That's what he does. But very, very happy that Talon Kinney going to be one of those, and, for those who don't know, 5-star point guard from Kentucky, chose us September 28th over a lot of great schools, over Arkansas, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisville, Oregon. A lot of schools that Tyron Stokes is looking at, but he chose us. We're pumped. As we've spoken about before, overtime elite. That's starting to be that little pipeline. So people are. Javon Bardwell. He won't be talked about in this episode, but 2027 for him, overtime elite. These guys, they play together, they hang out, and then they get they get put onto our squad for the next year, which we are excited about. But getting into it, yes, Talon Kinney, excited he's joining the squad. Another one, we've got Luke Barnett, the most recent of the KU commits. He is signed as well, I believe. And Luke Barnett is the shooter. He is a crazy talented shooter. He played it over at Mater D High School in California, and just dominant performances. He's set the school record for putting up over 50 points in a game. He hit 12 threes in a game. This guy is an absolute sharpshooter. He's very much, apparently, this summer gone on a big skyrocket type of journey where people really think this guy, the sky was the limit for him, and he really had a choice of options. And, he ended up choosing, but, amongst some smaller schools, I would say. People definitely, I would say, put more hype into him than I guess we would have originally guessed. I don't know. I saw this guy play, and I just thought he was spectacular. I didn't see, 144 ranked recruit. I just saw a guy who can, put up 30 quick. He is unbelievable. But, he chose Miami, UNLV, and us. Obviously, we got the likes from. I really thought Miami or UNLV would have had, good luck. But Kansas Jayhawks got him. What can we say? And speaking to the last one of the backcourt gentlemen, we get the wing, Trent Perry, who's going to be a little Swiss Army knife of both. Trent Perry, another great player. Very excited that we were able to get him. A bit of a tall, 6'5", kind of that 4-star, wing Swiss, coming in, Swiss Army knife, that is. He also plays at Link Academy of Branson, Missouri, which is where Ethan Taylor plays. We'll talk about him next. But Trent Perry is looking like a perfect Bill Self project. It's looking like he is going to have a player that can do it all. That's going to rebound. That's going to be tough in the paint. But also, he can besides slashing, he can hang out on the perimeter. He can hit some threes. He's going to be, a very physical guy, a very tough defender. The guy prides himself on defense, but a low-rated or a lower-rated guard like that's not perfect for Bill Self's system. DeJuan Harris came in from JUCO. Had a very lower level school commitment, and Bill was able to get him. Develop into this great player. And when Bill's even saying about this guy, Trent's just a winner. He does everything. He's athletic. He's got size. Guy that can play multiple positions. When he's on the court, we're automatically better. I don't know. He hasn't played for us yet, Bill, but apparently we're already better with him. So, no, you got to be excited because, getting those 3 guys were already signed. They're sealed. They will be delivered soon. Talon Kinney is so excited. Guy can't stop talking about the Jayhawks, and he will not stop trying to recruit Tyron Stokes. So, we'll see if he can wrestle up some Tyron Stokes for us. But if not, we've already got the number 1 and / number 2. I'm going to give us the number 1, but some people are saying we are the number 2 recruiting class. We'll take it. Obviously, Tyron Stokes would make it that number 1, but we live. And speaking of the big men, so yes, as you can see, can we secure Ethan Taylor? I'll speak about him after our current committed player, which would be Davion Adkins. And Davion Adkins is an incredible player. Apparently, again, I don't believe, he may not have signed. And that's the difficult thing about this. The information only comes out so, often about this. But I'm speaking to early signing day as opening. And Davion Adkins, I believe, has intent to sign. It doesn't, take it with a grain of salt. It's not like they're not going to. This is just a time period where if you really are 100% committed, which, you hope they are, we're speaking to Davion Adkins, and I believe he will. Again, great player. Very lengthy, kind of a little bit undersized, but he's got, real length and skill, amazing body control type of player, can jump out of the gym, but also can just defend like nobody can. Unbelievable the way he can, block shots and really mess up people around the rim. He is a prototype player that I thought was guaranteed, locked and loaded to Houston, and he chose no. Originally from the area, just didn't go for Kelvin Sampson's team. His pitch, I don't know. I guess Bill had a better pitch, and Davion Adkins, the likes of him is going to be amazing. And again, like I'm saying, not signed yet, so it could mean that some people, they're taking their time, or who knows, they could back out, which brings up Ethan Taylor. And Ethan Taylor is a great prospect. This is another guy I've spoken so highly about. He's a 7-footer, 245 pound, number 27 ranked in the nation. Number 2 center, I believe Adkins could be 3 or 2. I mean, they're all over the place, but he's just an incredible talent. And he's making his announcement this Friday, November 14th, 4 p.m. Eastern, on CBS Basketball YouTube channel. So it's going to be a difficult, test. This guy, he visited many times to Kansas. A couple unofficials, an official as well. Michigan State. He had a visit within the near time that he was visiting KU. Apparently that went well. He's got a 7'3" wingspan. Great physical tools, this guy. Great hands. And he's gonna have to play some drop coverage, but so are a lot of people. Flory's a rare breed, I would say, who can kind of hang with the guys up top. But he's just an excellent player. He's a great frame. He's gonna have to fill out again, but this also kind of brings up, if Adkins doesn't commit, Ethan Taylor's been very invested in, joining this Kansas team. He's been, like I said, multiple visits, almost 4 visits for Kansas for Ethan Taylor. And like we also said, he's playing on the same team as Trent Perry. So Trent Perry is saying, hey, man, let's go to KU together. Come on, let's go. But that would be that 5th scholarship spot, which – how likely is it that we have 5 guys? I mean, that's counting on kind of Flory or, and that kind of speaks to maybe my rant soon, but is it going to be Flory? Is it going to be Bryson Tiller? I don't know. Like, these guys they're putting in work early in the season, but I kind of thought Flory was going to look very polished, and he does not, which, we'll see what they've got the likes. But Taylor Kinney, Davion Adkins, Luke Barnett, Trent Perry, with Taylor Kinney and Trent Perry being officially signed. We'll see what we got. Very excited for the 2026 potential. These guys are very talented players. Have to bring them up. Can't get them out of your guys' mind yet. So we gotta focus on them a little bit. But next up, the last part of this show, and I appreciate you guys for watching. We got to go into a little bit of a rant, and it's just speaking to this team. And it's Bryson Tiller being our second best scorer. And I would love to have finished that sentence with, for the rest of the year. I think that is going to be a certainty. And if you asked me at the beginning of the year, I probably would have had 3 other answers. Bryson Tiller would not have been my top choice. It would have been, Melvin Council. It would have been Trey White. It would have been Flory Badunga. Any of those guys. Someone, I don't think I would have said Cole Rosario, and I still won't, but I would have said any of those other 3 guys. And Bryson Tiller has firmly established himself as the second best scorer on this team. I mean, clearly he is making, his name known, that he is going to be a dominant threat for us offensively. And the reason he can stay out there so much is because defensively, he's fantastic. The guy is getting 3 or 4 easy blocks, just, sending it right back when they're trying to out-jump him. They're just not going to work. So to make this in pure rant form, Bryson Tiller is going to be one of the best forwards in the Big 12 this year. Yes, I said it. He's going to be absolutely outstanding. He is a stretch 4, truly, who shoots pretty lights out from 3 at this rate right now. He's got a great jump shot. His handle we've seen is pretty effective, and defensively, he could do it with the best of them. So Bryson Tiller is going to be an incredible talent, and the only thing I'm actually genuinely worried about is he will be a one and done. And do I think that's going to be the case? I'm going to say no. But he has done everything right for in his position that he should be in consideration for an NBA pick this year. I mean, who would not want a guy with it's his physical tools. Like that's what I just keep thinking about. The guy is built perfectly for basketball. He's got over 7'4" wingspan, 9.4 foot reach, standing reach. I mean, it's unbelievable what he can do. And you're saying he can knock down threes at an NBA rate over 40% right now? I mean, technically it's over like 70 or 80%, but to what I'm speaking to, like that's a very high rate. That's very effective, and he's an excellent scorer, but he's shown just as much defensively. So Bryson Tiller, shout out you for coming to KU and early in January. Really understand Bill Self's system, but the guy was just working on his craft clearly, and this is back to the player that what we thought we were going to get when we signed. He was just a little injured, and we hope the injuries stay away, obviously, but as of this point, Bryson Tiller is firmly, I would say, not just our second best player or second scorer, might be our second best player. Flory, all in all, he had a wishy-washy time. That game against UNC, I would not say his defense was excellent. You even kind of saw in the game the other night against Corpus Christi, he was kind of getting foul prone. Again, like he always kind of did last year. He went in early with his first hand, kind of hits him, and then the second hand cleans it up and blocks the shot. But, dude, your first hand is fouling the player. So Flory has been a little bit underwhelming. And then Melvin can't shoot right now. Trey White, inconsistent, one good game. Everything's going up Bryson Tiller right now. So right now, early rant of the season is that Bryson Tiller will firmly be our second best player. And I don't see it changing. The way he is playing, he's more consistent than anyone. I don't care how we're trusting our team fully in Darren Peterson being that 18-year-old. Why can we not do it in Bryson Tiller just because he's a different freshman, not named Darren Peterson? The guy's amazing. They're both amazing. They're going to be a great combo, great duo. I mean, that's really going to affect the pick and roll or the pick and pop, and they're going to run both of those, and it's going to be amazing. We've got Duke next week. We've got Princeton coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate all the views and comments and whatever you guys can say about the games. The stash is still here, so don't worry. And just thank you guys so much. Like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. And we got Princeton coming up, then Duke. Rock chalk. Go Jayhawks.